Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show with me, Kavita Thaplia. Now, how can employees seamlessly transition from a group to an individual health insurance while you continue your company's health insurance policy, and that too after getting laid off? To discuss more on this, I have Amjad Khan, Executive Director, Employees Benefit Practice and International Businesses, Anand Rathi Insurance Brokers. Amjad, good evening, and once again, welcome to The Money Show. Today, we are going to discuss about a very crucial topic, and that is having a group insurance policy provided by your employer, and how can you continue those benefits even after being laid off, or maybe if you quit the company. But then, just for starters, Amjad, I really want you to help our viewers understand the kind of medical coverage they get through their employers. Okay, the corporate medical covers that they get, what all is covered and what all is not covered. Because what happens is, we know a lot of people, in fact on the show I get a lot of questions where people say that the only medical insurance cover that they have is through employers. They don't have anything personal in terms of medical coverage. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of having a medical coverage from your employer?
Okay, good evening, Kavita. Yes, I think a very relevant question, especially post-pandemic. We all have seen how the importance of medical insurance has grown up. And I think everybody in today's time wants to have a medical insurance at all point of time. But before we move on to the portability side, I think it's very important for us to understand that while there are advantages for a group health plan given by the employer, there are some disadvantages too. So first we look at advantages, like why is it pertinent to have a group health insurance, right? Because that's one of the most important benefit which any employer will provide to its employee. So I think the biggest differentiator there is, since it is a group cover, there is no medical health checkup required, and pre-existing conditions are covered from day one, and there are no waiting periods. So broadly, these three benefits are the reasons why group health insurance is a lucrative option, rather a must-have option for all employees. Right, but there are a few disadvantages as well which we need to understand on the group health side. One of them is there is no control from an employee level on the benefit structure which you would want to have for yourself, since it is uniform across the organization and the decision is taken by the employer. Secondly, if you leave your job or you're laid off, or probably one day the employer decides not to have the medical insurance as a benefit structure, so there is no benefit, there is no health benefit which the employee has at that point of time. So there is a gap of what if, right? So that's another vulnerability which on a group health insurance which we have. Second and last, one important point is everybody is paying the same premium. Even the healthier employee or employee with pre-existing condition, everyone is paying the same premium. So these are broadly three disadvantages which we got to look at and understand in a group health plan before coming to the topic of portability.
Sure, exactly. So while it is important for an employee to have a medical coverage from their employers, and even if you have not enrolled, it is important for you to get yourself enrolled. But apart from that, you must have an individual health coverage or a personal medical plan for yourself and your family. Now, having said that, let's consider a case of porting the policy. How does that happen? You know, your association with the company ends. Maybe you are laid off, or maybe you've resigned. Can this benefit continue? Can a group insurance policy that you might have got yourself done by your employer get shifted or translated in an individual cover?
So yes, Kavita, I think the regulator in the year 2016 under the health regulation came up on this portability guidelines, which basically empowers an employee to carry forward his benefit on the group side to a retail policy in case of change of job, or maybe he's laid over, and all those examples. So in such scenarios, the benefit can easily be moved on to a retail health plan through the portability benefit clause released by the regulator. Now, what happens is the biggest advantage of portability is that you have continuity of coverages. So that simply means whatever coverages you had in your group health plan, more or less similar coverages will move on to our existing individual plan with the same insurer. That's the only rule. That's a critical rule which we have to follow, that your portability will happen only with your existing insurer.
All right. So while you are porting this plan, what all the things that you need to keep in mind? Because first, definitely, Amjad, the premium cost that you need to keep in mind, and also the kind of policy you are porting yourself into. Are you porting? Can you port from a group plan to a family floater, Can you also port from a group plan to an individual health policy? How do you decide all of these things? Because these are important decisions. You have to look at various factors. Your premium that might just go up if at all you increase your coverage, or the kind of things that you might want to get covered in the new health plan. What are the things that one needs to keep in mind, and what could be the right decision for them, getting an individual plan or a family floater? What are the criteria to decide that?
So, Kavita, very important rule under the portability clause is we got to understand that your benefit structure and the coverage will be a mirror while you're porting it. When I say mirror, that simply means if in my group health policy, I'm covered with my spouse, 2 children, and 2 parents, the portability policy will also have these 5 dependents. You can obviously reduce a few of them, but you cannot add. Right? For example, another example under portability is if under the group health plan, if your sum insured was 5 lakhs, that sum insured would be ported as 5 lakhs only. You cannot increase that. Although, yes, you can increase that, but there'll be a fresh underwriting for the additional limit which you want to do. So what it essentially means is whatever is your benefit structure, whatever are your benefit clauses, that would be mirrored as a similar thing under your portability clause. So that's one thing in mind. Second thing, very important, we have to take care while we are looking at portability is, see, portability, there's a small rule with the insurance companies want the policyholders to follow is timely intimation. So whenever a person resigns, he usually has a notice period of almost 30, probably 60 to 90 days. What insurance companies expect is that they should be intimated at least 45 days in advance in case an employee wants to have his policy ported to a retail plan. So that's one thing which we all need to take into consideration, that between 30 to 45 days, we should ensure that the communication has gone to the insurance company regarding a need for a portability benefit policy under a retail plan. Second important thing is you have to understand what is your current benefit structure under the group health plan, because that's very important so that you carry forward the similar benefit structures whenever you port the policy. Like one of the most important benefit, as we discussed before, was a pre-existing condition that's waived off. There are no waiting periods. So these are very, very relevant benefits which we have to understand while we look at portability. Yes, as I said, the waiting periods are critical. So we have to understand what's your current benefit structure looks like. Third is has to be there could be a medical checkup which the insurance company might ask. It would depend on your what is your age, what has been your claims history. So if there is a health checkup which the insurance company wants during the portability, you'll have to go through that as well. And then there is your submission timelines regarding your documentation. So there is a portability form, there is your address and ID proof, and there is your claims history which comes from the previous insurance company. You fill up that form, submit it to the insurance company, make the premium payment, and that's when the policy will be issued by the same company within 30 days of time. So that's how the portability works.
All right. If you could just give an approximate increase in the premium amount that a policy holder might have to go through.
So yes, these policies will definitely be slightly expensive than your group health plan. Probably the increase in the premium could range anywhere between 10 to 100% of what your premium was under group health plan. There are reasons behind this, because for an insurance company, this individual is coming out of a group and getting into an individual risk, right? When the risk is spread across a larger group, obviously it's a safer risk for the insurance companies to underwrite, and that's why the premiums are low. But when that individual person comes out of that group and forms a single policy, that's where it is an individual risk. And that's precisely the reason why the premiums would be on a higher side. Secondly, if your age is around 45, 50, that's a high risk profile for the insurance company. In the last 2 years or 1 year, you have a claims history. So that will also add up to the cost. So all these factors taken into consideration, the insurance company decides on what would be your premium when you port into a retail policy. But usually it will be higher than the group health plan.
Okay, one last question and then we'll wrap up the discussion. If in case you are laid off, any problem in porting the plan, or it will be as easy as you quitting the company?
So Kavita, it won't be an issue because, as I said, health regulations released in 2016 empowers the employees for portability benefit. So even if you're laid off, you can look at the portability clause, and at the entire documentation and operational process, which I mentioned before, it would be the same. Except that in case of a resignation, there will be a resignation letter. In case of laid off, there will be a communication coming from HR on the emails of the employee. So those will have to be produced to the insurance company to put you into that bucket of laid off or resign. Rest, everything remains the same.
All right, Amjad, thank you so much for being on the show today and helping our viewers with health insurance portability and giving them a complete guideline of how to go about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavita.
All right, time to slip into a quick break, but then post that we'll be having viewers on the show and to answer all of their questions or their portfolio related questions. I'll be joined by Anil Rego after this break.